Shalom and welcome to the Valley of Decision. This video is for the playlist Where is Jacob, and it's dealing with the identity of the house of Jacob, that is the Hebrews, or as some people call the Hebrew Israelites. And I just wanted to, this is basically going to be a prelude to the series that I'm going to start in terms of looking at that issue, because there are a lot of different groups that are basically, they're taking pot shots at the quote-unquote Hebrew Israelites, the black Hebrew Israelites, and saying that that there is no way to substantiate the claim. And first of all, let me just say that I do not consider myself to be a Hebrew Israelite. I am a Messianic Hebrew. There's just a few points of doctrine that that separate me from them, but other than that, I do agree with them. We are the so-called black Americans. We are the true descendants of the house of Israel. We are Jacob. And so I just want to, like I said, just briefly touch on that, because one individual that I saw this video this guy did, he was a southern white guy, and he was basically saying that neither the Jews, the so-called Jewish people, that they don't have a right to make that claim because they're not the real house of Jacob, and neither do the black Hebrew Israelites. And he based his entire defense on verse 68 from Deuteronomy chapter 28. And he was saying that that verse, that it doesn't apply to the descendants of the so-called African slave trade, but that it applies to the descendants of the indentured servants, because in the last part of that verse it says, and no man shall buy you. And since the indentured servants were, in all honesty, they were not bought or sold, they entered into labor contracts, so therefore that verse is talking about them. And that was the bulk of his argument, and he really didn't even offer any type of proof or any evidence to refute the claim of the Jewish people, you know, speaking specifically of the Ashkenazim. He didn't offer any proof. And so that's going to be one of the first videos that I did. And in all honesty, these are I'm redoing videos that I had already done for my Daily Motion channel, but I'm pulling all of those that, even though I do get 20 minutes on the Daily Motion site, there's just a lot of commercials and pop-ups, and it's just irritating. And so I'm going to redo them, you know, and I'm going to put them on this channel here. And again, this playlist, the entire playlist, is called Where is Jacob? And so I'm going to be, that's going to be one of the first ones that I look at, is the claim of the European American Protestant that they are the house of Jacob. And anyone who has read through the list of punishments and promises can clearly see that they do not speak of the European Gentile in terms of being the descendants of the house of Jacob. If anything, they fit the identity of that nation of a fierce countenance that would afflict and oppress the house of Jacob during their period of captivity and bondage. That is who they fit. And this guy, he, in terms of making his claim that the European American Gentile is the descendant of the house of Jacob, he didn't look at any of those passages. He didn't look at anything. And I'm gonna, again, because I'm gonna go in detail on that that particular video, but I just want to just look at a few of the verses that he clearly overlooked. One of them, let's see, it says that, okay, verse 46, and they, meaning the punishments or the curses, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Meaning, all of the punishments that Moses lists that would happen to the house of Jacob if they entered into the covenant and then began to disrespect the laws, the statutes, and commandments, that those punishments would be upon them for a sign, that would be the only way that you would know who the house of Jacob is. That they would, Isaiah prophesied, and so did Jeremiah, that they would lose their inheritance, that they would discontinue from their inheritance, so you wouldn't be able to recognize them by keeping the statutes, the laws and commandments. You wouldn't be able to recognize them by their form of worship. You wouldn't be able to recognize the house of Jacob by the way they dressed, by the holy days that they kept. You wouldn't be able to recognize them by those laws and statutes and commandments because they would discontinue from them. You would only be able to recognize them by the curses. So if there is a people on the face of the earth today who is adhering to the laws and the statutes of commandments, and you can literally go through each of those laws and look at that people and go, well, yeah, they fit that, they do that, okay, they keep that holy day, yeah, and they dress that way, and they eat this way, well, yeah, that's got to be them. Well, that's your proof that they are not the house of Jacob, because Isaiah and Jeremiah and Moses, they prophesied that the house of Jacob, when they were scattered, that they would discontinue from their inheritance. So you wouldn't be able to recognize them. Okay, so another verse that this white guy that he didn't even mention any of these, but here's one of them. Verse 20, and Yahweh shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. Okay, so what does that mean? That, okay, Yahweh shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand to do. Now, if the European American Protestant, if they really were the descendants of Jacob, then that would mean that the United States should have always been a third world country. It should never have progressed to the state that it is now, where it is the leader in terms of global economy, in terms of its military, in terms of its entertainment. There was a time when, for many decades, when a lot of other countries would send their children, their students over here to get educated because they believed that our educational system was better than theirs. They would send their pilots. They would make agreements with our military to train their officers in communication, their officers in advanced weaponry technology. That's not the sign of a people that is, let me just quote that again, who cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do. That doesn't sound like the European American Protestant at all. They came over here because it was the land of opportunity, because they knew they could get ahead. Okay? Again, this is something that I'm just going to, just do this whole series on. So I don't want to give too much away. But the other playlist that I spend a lot of time working on is the name game. Okay, in terms of knowing the true name of the Almighty. And yes, I'm a sacred namer. And if you look on my channel at the top, there is a survey. And the question right now is, are sacred namers too serious? Do we take this topic too serious? Okay, now there are those who would say, yeah, they do, okay, but then there are those who would say no. In fact, they don't take it serious enough. Well, I'm one of those who is trying to take it even more serious. And so one of the ways that I'm trying to do so is to publish his name. What the last image that you looked at and this one right now, these are a series of images that I'm doing, that I'm selling as postcards, as bumper stickers, as buttons. You can get them on t-shirts, you can get them on the computer mouse pads, on a coffee mug, in whatever form you want. That is what I'm doing. The bulk of it is postcards, bumper stickers, and buttons, and you can get those for $1 a piece. The minimum purchase is $15, so you get 15 for $15, on up to 25 for $25. It's a fundraiser to help me pay for my rent. But those are the two playlists, because right now things are getting really stressful in the world. A lot of people do turn to religion, they do turn to prayer during a time of need, and it kind of makes sense to know the true name of the Creator if you're going to call on Him for refuge or for solace or for comfort. That's just how I feel about it. And so this whole fundraiser, it's called Publish His Name. And again, just it's something that I think that because our ancestors fell under the punishments and discontinued from the inheritance, and we forgot the name of the Almighty, that is one of the reasons life has been so hard for us, that we were taken into captivity. The bulk of the slaves in the African slave trade, they came from West Africa. That's where our people had migrated from Northeast Africa across the Sahara through the Atlas Mountains, settling into West Africa and founding great civilizations there: Ghana, Mali, Songhe, but eventually, as one of the curses or punishments that Moses prophesied, that the curses would overtake them, and that is exactly what happened. And another one of the punishments that this European American Protestant didn't list, which of course he couldn't, is verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee spiritually, destroyed thee mentally, destroyed thee emotionally. That is not in the history of the European American Protestant. Again, they fit the identity of the oppressor. It says here, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies. They fit the identity of the enemy, of the individuals putting the yokes of iron upon the necks of our ancestors. That's who they fit. That's our identity. So in terms of making his claim, of course he didn't go through any of these verses. He went through 68 and he butchered that one, which I'm going to talk about, but there was no way that he could talk about that, okay, any of these other scriptures. And I don't know. It's for someone who, a lot of these people who claim to love Yahushua, they don't really want to know him. They don't want to know and admit that he was a man of color, that he was a black man, a very dark black man. Okay, John the Revelator said that he saw him, said that his feet and the body that he saw, that it was bronze, burnt brass, as if it burnt in a fire. That's a very dark-skinned man with white woolly hair. But they don't want to know that Yahushua, the Messiah, was a Hebrew. The Hebrews are black people. They're a dark-skinned black people. Now, yes, we have different shades and different flavors, as we like to call them today, but that is the result of being oppressed by our enemy and all the different things that they did to us. But Yahushua is Hebrew. We are Hebrew. We are all of the same lineage. And that's the part that they don't want to admit. They don't want to admit that we are the descendants of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, because then they'll have to look at what they've done, the role that they've played, the weird way that they have fulfilled Bible prophecy. We're fulfilling Bible prophecy also, yet so are they, and they're fulfilling it in a way that for some of them they're going to have to answer. Them and their ancestors, they're going to have to answer for what they've done in terms of the sadistic, cruel way that they treated us, having us plant your fields and cook your food and clean your house. There's no problem with that. That is the history of human bondage. But when you get to the point where you are infecting us with diseases, when you are using our children as alligator bait, when you are stringing us from trees and cutting off the genitalia and stuffing it in our mouths, when you are whipping us to the point that you can't even see the back, well then yeah, you go overboard, and there will have to be some type of a reckoning for that. We know that the scriptures say that those who lead into captivity will be taken into captivity. Those who kill by the sword will be killed by the sword. That's just the law of reciprocity. But again, that is I'm gonna look at that in terms of that playlist. Where is Jacob? And also again looking at the playlist for the sacred name, looking at it in classical Hebrew and in Paleo Hebrew, which is one of the bumper stickers that you're looking at right here. This is the Paleo Hebrew. And again, these the postcards and the bumpers, stickers, and the buttons, they're all on sale right now. It's a fundraiser, $1 a piece, a minimum purchase of $15. Please support this channel, support me and my efforts, and to publish the name and to glorify and magnify our Creator, Abba Yahuwah. And stay tuned. This is a marathon. Okay. Shalom.